Hello and welcome back to the Daily Royal, a podcast covering the daily events of all the European royal families. Today, we are going to be talking about the very limited number of events for Friday, March 26th of 2021. Welcome to our special Saturday episode. So I talked about this a little bit yesterday, but I'm going ahead and recording today as well so we can wrap the Spanish state visit up with a pretty little bow at the end of the week and not have to wait a few days to talk about it. And as I was reminded this week, or today, it is about a week until Easter, so I've kind of come up with a little bit of a new plan. I've looked at everybody's calendar. It seems like things are stopping like Wednesday the 31st, and we are 6 after Easter. So every country that we talk about is the royal families, at least are religious, and most of them are heads of their churches. So they will take the time to observe the holy holiday of Easter. And that pretty much starts on, I would say, Good Friday, which is in a week. But some are going to have extremely light weeks, like Norway and Denmark. And some are just going to work up until like Wednesday, it seems like, and then take a longer holiday weekend. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm still going to record an episode this Sunday to go up on Monday. That'll have any weekend events if there are any. There actually will be, for sure, in Sweden, which we'll talk about here in a minute at the end of the episode. But then in addition to that, we'll talk about 10 of the European royal the 10 monarchies in the world that I don't talk about. So what I want that to be is just kind of like some base information about the country and the monarchy itself. So I'm going to do 10 of those this Sunday, and then probably Thursday I'll do another 10, and then if I need to, on Sunday, I'll do the remaining royal families that I don't talk about to kind of fulfill Easter, like fill up that time. And yeah, sorry, I am extremely tired. That is the other thing I wanted to talk about. We're going to have a really long intro because today was really slow for most of the royal families, so we're going to have a longer intro, and also, like, I have things I want to say, like what I just did, but also, I know I mentioned, I think in yesterday's episode, that I was scheduled for a COVID vaccine next week, because my state, I live in Ohio, for those who want to know. That's as much as I'm going to share. I think I made it a year without sharing what state I lived in. But Ohio has made it so starting next week, everybody above the age of 16 is eligible for a vaccine. So I got mine scheduled for next Thursday. Well, today, my mom was getting her second dose of her vaccine, and the vaccination center had a few leftover doses that they needed to use, because like once you draw from a vial, which holds about 6 doses, you have to either use them or they're wasted. So the vaccination center we were at had extra like unclaimed doses, and so because I was there and already had an appointment for a week away, they went ahead and offered me a vaccine. So I today received my first COVID vaccine, and The process itself, so I want to talk about this a little bit. So everybody's situation is going to be different. Getting the injection did not hurt at all. However, am experiencing a little bit of side effects. I'm really tired, and usually I'm not this tired at 8 o'clock, but I'm exhausted, and I just haven't been feeling good. I am by no means like down and out. I'm gonna finish recording and do my administrative stuff for the podcast, and then I'm probably gonna go to bed. It'll probably be 9:30 when I go to sleep tonight. I'm just really tired, and I don't know if that is from the vaccine. I would assume it is, just because that's the only thing in my routine that was different today was I got an injection. But like overall, nothing is terrible. It's all fine. I don't want to scare anybody away from getting the vaccine. By all means, please, when it is your turn, please get vaccinated so this thing can go away. I'm willing to go through this all over again just so I can be vaccinated and help with that immunity. So, yeah, I am halfway vaccinated. For those who want to know, I got the Pfizer vaccine, which is, I think, available kind of internationally, for the most part. I'm not really sure. I looked and the EU has it. And then I, of course, live in the States. And yeah, I mean, like I said, it's not terrible by any stretch. It's just a little uncomfortable. And by like a little, I mean, honestly, I'm kind of looking forward to just lounging for the rest of the night. Like, I don't feel good. My arm does not hurt. I just am just a little off, and a little tired, a lot tired. So that's where I'm at. So I'm sorry if this is kind of lagging. I hope to pep up here a little bit as I continue to talk through things. But that is my update. And so now we are going to jump in. We're skipping Belgium because there were no events there. And we are going to the British royal family. In the UK, as I expected, most of the day was pretty quiet. There was a pre-recorded video message that the Prince of Wales sent to the Bangladesh people. So Bangladesh is celebrating, their Golden Jubilee, or their 50th anniversary of, I'm assuming, independence from either India or Great Britain. I'm not sure which is, of course, a momentous, important thing, especially for the Bangladesh people. Yeah, so that is what was kind of public facing, and now we are gonna look up the court circular. Like I said, we're gonna do yesterday, and then go through to today, if I can do this from my phone. There we go. Okay, sorry. I don't usually look up the court circular on my phone. I usually look it up on my iPad. So I couldn't find the search. Okay, yesterday was March 25th. Yesterday the Queen held an audience via telephone with the new British High Commissioner to the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And then at Clarence House we have the events from the Greek foreign visit. I'm seeing if there's anything else. Okay. And then at Kensington Palace, The Duke of Cambridge, president of the British Academy of Film and Television Arts, or BAFTA, this afternoon held a meeting with the film and television craftspeople via video link. I'm hoping to see some video from that either sometime this weekend or next week. And then His Royal Highness later joined Miss Anne Eden for the weekly leadership call with NHS leaders in the Southeast. This is like the third one of these he's been on, where he's just spending time and thanking them for their work. So that is what was going on yesterday. I'm going to see if we have a court circular from today. There we go. Court circular from March 26th. Okay. It looks like the Duke of Cambridge, so Kensington Palace, there's nothing at Windsor or Clarence House. So the Duke of Cambridge this morning joined a weekly call with operational leads in the NHS, talking about the COVID vaccination program. I'll go back to that because I want to talk a little bit more about my vaccine experience, but in a much different way. And then His Royal Highness later joined on a video call with NHS Scotland chief executives and Scottish Government health and social care directors. So a lot of work with the NHS from William over the past couple of days. Okay, back to my COVID vaccine experience. So my personal experience was kind of chaotic because I was a wait list, quote unquote, person. So mine was very different. But when my mom went through hers, and when I go back for my second one, it'll be much more orderly. But it was really awesome because it was like you checked in, you gave over your information. The vaccines are completely free, which is awesome. No cost to the patient. And so you got checked in and then you went, this location was doing both the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines. And so you got in a line depending on which vaccine you were getting. My mom and I both got Pfizer. So we went through the Pfizer line. And then you waited there until the next person who was ready to do an injection was available. And it was just very orderly, and then they monitor, or they don't really monitor, but you kind of have to sit and wait for 15 minutes, and if anything goes wrong, then you're with medical professionals. So we were there because my mom got hers, and we waited for almost her entire 15 minutes, and then we realized that there were extra, so that's when I got mine. So we were there for an hour, and then the entire hour that we were there, no one had any side effects to my knowledge. It was all very well organized. They were doing, they kept the vaccines kind of very close. It was impressively set up. And for the most part, everybody was having fun. We were there at the end of the day, but everyone was just having a grand old time. It was awesome. So, the logistics around a vaccination center are intense. And I think that's what I was most impressed with, was how logistically well organized these things were. So I'm glad William was able to have conversations with operational people, because seriously, they are kicking butt and taking names and making sure that people are getting vaccinated efficiently. So that's what was going on in the UK. And now we're going to make a brief jaunt to the Danish royal family. Denmark today. There wasn't really an event, but I felt this was important enough to talk about. So today, Crown Prince Frederik, there was a video released of him talking about, I'm just going to say HCO 2020. I am sure that is not how that O is pronounced. It's the O with the slash through it. That Frederik was patron for this organization, and it was all about celebrating the 200th anniversary of the discovery of electromagnetism by H.C. Ørsted, who was a Dane. So it seems like this was just kind of a like, here's how 2020, HCO 2020 went, because obviously the celebration was in 2020. So Frederik talked a lot about the events that did happen, but also, he said the year didn't go the way it was initially planned to, which, isn't that just the understatement of the year for 2020? The year didn't go quite as we had planned. 2020, best year yet, new decade, all of those things, right? And then it was just the whole world was just pretty miserable for about a year. And now it's starting to feel less miserable, but still pretty intense. But I just thought that was the best statement that you can make. And also he talked about the events that did happen and how positive they were. So he visited a school in September where they were learning about electromagnetism and also other really important scientific discoveries. I think he did something before the pandemic, but now I don't remember because that was over a year ago. And it was just a pretty, review video, but it was just odd because I would say there were probably less than half of the events that were supposed to happen actually happened or weren't, or happened as planned, even close to, because of COVID. So I just wanted to share that little piece of information. I may have the video linked on the website, but I'm not really sure because it's all in Danish. If you understand, I don't know. I never know what to do with this because a lot of their videos don't have closed captioning that you can even have Google auto translate. So I don't know what I'm going to do about that. We'll see. So that's what was going on in Denmark, and now we are going to go ahead and move on to the Netherlands. In the Netherlands, we had, I guess, a couple of events. I wasn't going to talk about one, but I will. So today, Queen Maxima started her day by attending a private webinar as the UN Secretary General's Special Advocate for Financial Inclusion and Development. So in this webinar, she was giving a speech to a private company focused on financial health. Those are the details that were given. I'm not entirely sure. It was very clear that the company would not be named, and I have conflicting feelings about that. I think if it's a private event, it needs to be a completely private event and not shared like this, because now it could, and I don't think this is a horrible situation, but it could lead to questions of transparency. At least for me it has, because was she talking to Chase Bank, or was it more of a startup bank? I don't know. I have questions that I don't get the answer to, and that's okay, but I have a very weird transparency issue with it. But, I think private meetings like this are 100% okay. Like, I don't want to say that. I expect that every royal has private things that they do, where they use their title and their role, and I understand that, but they keep them private, whereas this was like a weird half thing, which just, like, if it's private, it's private, and if it's public, it's public, not a weird in the middle thing. I don't like weird in the middle gray area things like this. So, but, like, none of that is mine to judge. I mean, personally, yes, but, like, don't follow my opinion, form your own. So that was the first thing. And then also today, a video was released from More Music in the Classroom, which is an organization that Maxima is heavily involved in. I'm not sure if the Dutch royal family does, like, patronages, but if they did, like, this would be a patronage. And it's all about incorporating music into education. Shocker, right? However, it was all a celebration for Queen Maxima's upcoming 50th birthday. So she turns 50 on May 17th of this year. And they marketed it to be like 50 days of music. However, Maxima's birthday is 52 days away, so I'm not sure what happened there. Because I did the math. I was like, oh, maybe her birthday is 50 days away. But it's not. It's 52, which is close, and it's a Friday, so maybe that's why it was released today and not on Sunday. Like, okay, all of that's fine. But it was really, really cute. It was, like, 2 adults, and they had a cargo bike, which is like a bike with a basket type thing on the front that you can carry things in. If I ever get to move to Europe, I'm getting one and putting my dog in the cargo hold because she can't walk very far. Like, she doesn't enjoy walking very far, but she would love a good bike ride. So there was one of those, and it had, like, this really big thing on the top. And then they were joined by a couple of kids. They rode their bikes, supposedly, to Hoist and Boyce, which is the residence and probably office for King Willem-Alexander and Queen Maxima. And Maxima, like, someone went up and, like, knocked on the door, like a normal situation. Maxima came to the door and walked down the steps, and they presented her with a giant cake. And then I think in non-COVID world, they would have lit the candle on the cake and had her, like, traditionally blow it out. That's one thing. I wonder if that's going to exist after COVID. Like, now that we've lived through COVID, like, I never want to blow out a candle on a cake ever again. Just no. I obviously, like, am almost 30. I don't do that a lot anyway, but... like, no candles and blowing candles out. Just no. So the alternative was Maxima stuck a single candle into the cake, which I also don't like as an alternative, but whatever. And so it was a really cute video. There was a little kid, and I try not to... I'm not judging. Honestly, he was so cute, but he had a mullet, like a legit mullet, and he just brightened my day. Every time I saw him, I just, like, felt instantly better, which is kind of mean, but, like, you do you, kid. Like, if that's the haircut you want, go for it. So it was awesome, but that is what was going on in the Netherlands. I'm looking at the time. I'm really rambly tonight. So anyway, we are just going to move right on now to the Norwegian royal family. there wasn't a lot going on publicly today. However, King Harald released a video greeting to the Norwegian people, wishing them a happy and peaceful Easter celebration. So I don't know that this is something that is normal. However, it happened in 2020 as well. King Harald and both King Harald and Queen Sonja sent like a Easter message together, talking about the hardships of the pandemic and like, you know, the joke, it's not a joke, but like, hopefully soon we'll all be together. And so Easter, I think, was like mid-April last year, and here we are, late March, and it's definitely still not over. And so King Harald again just sent the video message where he is one of the best empathizers out there. He is very in tune with like what the people are feeling, how it's going. Like, this pandemic is wearing everyone down, and he just like, he said, look, I know we're tired, but like, I'm here to give you some reassurance. Brighter days are ahead, like the whole thing. Things that we have heard that aren't, I don't find brighter days are ahead super comforting anymore. I find like brighter actions comforting. So today, I've talked about this. I'm a DoorDash driver in the daytime and a podcaster at night. And today, during my lunch shift, I deliver to doctor's offices all the time. I didn't in the very first parts of the pandemic, but I do now. And there was one doctor's office in like a taller building, and they were on the 3rd floor, and you could never go up to the 3rd floor. They had like some people doing temperature checks and stuff on the bottom floor, and if you were bringing food, you just left the food there. Well, today that table wasn't there, so I just took myself upstairs, and it was the weirdest thing. I was like so happy that I could use an elevator and go up up to this floor, and see like people, because it's been a year and I haven't been able to deliver into that specific office suite for a year. And so it was like, that was really comforting. And then even being able to like accompany my mom into her vaccination appointment, like, it was just a sign, like a clear, like, brighter days are ahead. Look at what you're able to do today. So I appreciate that, but like his message, or at least the English parts that I have read, like, was just really comforting, and he's so good at that. That like even I, who am like, okay, words are words, like I need action at this point, was comforted. So that's what was going on in the Netherlands. And then, it's also Friday, so Crown Prince Haakon held the weekly Council of State meeting. And now we are going to jump to the Spanish royal family for the last day of the Andorran state visit. Today, King Felipe and Queen Letizia took part in the second and final day of their state visit to the Principality of Andorra. Today, they started out by visiting a Spanish-speaking or a Spanish education school, and like all the feels, you guys, all the feels. It's been maybe in September was the last time that either of them really interacted with children, probably during like the education opening, like the education year opening thing that Letizia does every year. And it was just heartwarming to see how excited, and especially kids from not Spain, how excited they were for a visit from a king and queen. You know, I always wonder how much kids understand about like what a king and queen like are, and what they're like, why they're important. But like, they know because of Disney and like fairy tales that kings and queens are important people. And I always wonder if they're like let down when they aren't in gala when they show up to things. But like, the kids knew how important they were and were just thrilled to see them. Especially the younger ones. The teenagers are always kind of like, yeah, okay, hi. Like, this is cool, but whatever. And so, like, these kids were sitting, you know, it was different because they had to be in their, like, classroom pods, so the social distancing between classrooms was really interesting, but they were all out, like, on their playground, and they were just, the kids, King Felipe, Queen Letizia, like, every single person was having fun, except for maybe the teachers who seemed to be a little overwhelmed by crowd control. And keeping kids, you know, together and in their pods for safety reasons. And I don't know, it's just like everyone was fun. They had Spanish flags, they had Andorran flags, like it was a good time. And I always find like around kids or interacting in more relaxed situations like that, like King Felipe and Queen Letizia legitimately seem to enjoy themselves a little bit more. They always are doing a great job, but like they always seem to have more fun during these events. And so that was just really fun to see. So that was the first event. And then next, they visited the Church of Santa Coloma, which also has a museum attached to it. And so during the trip, they were able to see both the original and the art installation replicas of 12th century frescoes that were painted at the church. Andorra is a principality that goes back extremely far in history. I think the first time it was mentioned in the history books was probably the 12th century, and yeah, I think that was the first time that it was really mentioned in history. In my research of Andorra, that's what I saw. But then those frescoes, because they're 1,000 years old, almost, were digitally replicated, and so there's like an art installation of these digitally replicated frescoes throughout the church, and it's so cool. There's video on Casa Real's YouTube where you can like watch this, and it is so cool. It was like mesmerizing. So that was the next event. Then they visited, so I think they went to the northwest of Andorra, I think is when they did this, or the whole day was in the northwest. I'm not sure which. But they were offered an official lunch by the government of Andorra. And then finally, the state visit concluded with a trip to the Museum of the House of Arne Plandolit. And this person was a 19th century noble person in Andorra who was a big part of their history. And this house is also like one of the last remaining 19th century homes in the Principality. So it was a really cool looking building. I yeah, it was just really cool. And so that was the end. They went back to, they always go to like probably soccer fields. I know them as football fields, in American football at that, because I'm an American, but like fields with tracks around them. And that's where their helicopter will typically take off and land. So they boarded their helicopter and off they went back to Spain. So the state visit is officially over. It was wonderful. It is no Cuba in 2019, or like, really, it was just different because of the pandemic. It was much more casual in terms of state visit. Like, I'm longing for the days where we have normal state visits again, because they're fun. And yeah, I mean, it was just a really good trip. It was really impressive in the way it was carried out in terms of pandemic related things, because logistically, like, that could be a nightmare, and it wasn't. It seemed really well maintained. So that was the state visit, and now we are going to briefly talk about Sweden, but we're just going to talk about it. I'm not going to do like a whole transition here because we'll talk about it more over the weekend. But today, the Swedish royal house released a statement that Prince Carl Philip and Princess Sophia have welcomed a third son to their family. And so there will be events on Sunday to celebrate this little guy's birth. So his name has not been released. It'll be announced on Sunday, more than likely, as well as a church service with, my guess is literally just King Carl Gustaf, Queen Sylvia, and Prince Carl Philip will be there to celebrate the birth in the church. So that is what is going on in Sweden. That brings us to the end of this episode. Thanks for sticking around for my really rambly beginning. I appreciate it. And I will talk to you all on Monday. Have a great weekend. Check out all the things, dailyroyal.com, Daily Royal on Instagram. Like and review the podcast, and I will talk to you all on Monday. Have a great weekend. Bye.